I'm going to take notes over here. This is how we generally do it. You know, I take notes, make comments. Hi, Gina. I'm glad you're here. Just so you know, what I was explaining before is the people here last time, they did their presentations, but we're letting them go again, and we're viewing Monday as was a practice, and today everybody's going for grade. That's what's going on today. No?
A couple weeks ago, I didn't really know what I wanted to do my presentation on because I wanted it to be something that you guys would be interested in, but also on something that I thought was important. So I decided on 3 branches of government simply because we all live in America and I think it's important that we know about the branches of government. Something that first introduced me to government was really Schoolhouse Rock. And although these songs are idealistic and simplistic, I think they're important because they teach kids about math and science and government history. They have a couple songs about the government, and one of them is about the Constitution. The Constitution of the United States gives the 3 branches of government their power. It sort of sets them up, it describes how they work together, and it describes the players within each branch. These branches are the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch. The legislative branch is made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate. It's 2 branches, and that means or 2 houses, and that means it's bicameral. This is because small states wanted equal representation for each state, and larger states wanted representation based on population so that they would have more representation. But eventually they decided on a compromise, which is the Great Compromise, and that resulted in our Congress. Congress makes the laws of the country, and one example of when this would affect you would be the government shutdown last year. The government shut down because Congress didn't pass the law that gives Congress the power to make money, and so like passports couldn't be issued, other stuff like that. Sometimes Social Security checks weren't sent out because the people who sent out the Social Security checks didn't have to report to work because they weren't getting paid. So that really affected the country, and that's one thing that Congress was responsible for. The House of Representatives is the populous House of Congress. There are 235 representatives, and they are elected every 2 years. In order to be a representative in the House of Representatives, you must be 25 years old, a U.S. citizen for 7 years, and you also must live in the state which you want to represent. There's a census every 10 years, and the Congress is responsible for this. The House of Representatives is based on population, so every census the representatives will change. In the 2010 census, Ohio actually lost a couple representatives, so it went from 18 to 16 representatives, and that's because of population. Also, redistricting can result in gerrymandering, and that is the dividing of a state, country, etc. into election districts, so as to give one political party a majority in many districts while concentrating the voting strength of another party into as few districts as possible. This happens after the census, and Ohio got redistricted in 2010 as well. The Senate is the other branch of Congress. There are 100 senators, 2 for each state, and they are elected every 6 years. In order to be a senator, you must be 30 years old, you must have been a U.S. citizen for 9 years, and you must live in the state that you want to represent. Congress together has the power to declare war, the power to borrow money from the country, the power to print and regulate money, collect and make taxes, regulate commerce, make post offices and roads, promote the arts and sciences, and the power of impeachment of the president. And it's just the overall responsibility of Congress to make the laws. executive branch is headed by the president and the vice president. In order to be elected to either of those positions, you must be 35 years old. You must be a natural-born citizen of the United States. You must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years, and they are elected every 4 years. A president can serve 2 terms or 10 years. This means that if a vice president takes over for a president, they can, after halfway through a term, they can run and get elected for 2 more terms. And it is the overall power of the executive branch to carry out the laws. The president is elected by the Electoral College, and each state gets the number of representatives that they have in Congress. So Ohio gets 18, meaning that 16 for the House and 2 for the Senate. And Ohio is actually a big swing state in most presidential elections, as is Florida. California is just a big state, usually goes Democratic though. And you need 270 electoral votes to win the election. This means that if you win the popular vote, but you lose the electoral vote, you still lose the presidency. This happened in 2000 when George Bush lost the popular vote, but he won the electoral vote, so he was elected president. The president is commander-in-chief of the armed forces. They have the power to make treaties on behalf of the country, and they have the power to veto laws that are passed by the Congress. The Supreme Court is the main arm of the judicial branch. There also are many other federal courts. It is the power of the judicial branch to determine if laws are constitutional, and they will rule on issues such as Obamacare was recently, abortion is a big thing, and so is same-sex marriage. Judges on the Supreme Court are appointed by the president, and then they need to be confirmed by the Senate and the House, and the term is life or retirement. So if they choose to retire, they can, but besides that, they serve until they're dead. These branches work together with a system of checks and balances, meaning that the president balances Congress and the judicial branch and vice versa. One example of this is passing a bill. Congress will pass the bill, and then they send it to the president, and the president can veto. But if the president vetoes, Congress can have a 2/3 majority vote, and the bill will still become a law. And then the judicial branch can decide if the law is constitutional or unconstitutional. Another thing is appointing judges. The executive branch appoints judges, but the legislative branch confirms the appointments. Schoolhouse Rock has a song about the 3 branches of government, and it basically simplifies it and says that it's a 3-ring circus, and the rings must work together, and no ring can be bigger than the other. And I think that's important for kids to understand. It makes it simple, and it makes it easy, even though it's a complicated issue. Are there any questions?
So, what if president died and vice president died?
I think that's the senator.
Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House, yeah. Yeah, the Speaker of the House will take over, and then there's like another person. And actually, during the State of the Union, one person has to sit out in case there's like a big catastrophe and everybody gets killed. So there's still someone who can be president. It's not really funny, but I thought it was an interesting fact. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.